So I was part of a narcotics team. We were serving a knock and announce daytime warrant. The individual that we were serving had no criminal history, no red flags, anything like that. But it turned out he was very hardcore anti-government and was also wanted to do mass shootings, wanted to be involved in killing people. And so when we served this very low level search warrant, he knew we were coming. We had gone to his house to try to do it as a very minor, low level, just knock on the door and talk to him. He was home, it turns out, at that time. He wouldn't answer the door. We tried that over the course of a week for 5 different times, and he knew we would eventually come back with the search warrant.
This is a felony warrant?
Felony warrant, yep. And when we came back, he had his house set up for an ambush. So we entered it trying to do a very low-level search warrant, and he ambushed us. Ultimately, it was about a 13-minute gunfight. 6 police officers were shot.
Hey guys, here we go again. Another recap, another re-up with a former guest on Game of Crimes. So welcome back to Game of Crimes with Murph in the Morning. This one, it's the last interview I'm doing at this year's conference. And like I just said, I saved the best for last. I got a text message last week from an old friend, Oklahoma cop, Wayne Stinnett, who if you've listened to Game of Crimes any at all, he was episode 101 that came out in June of 23. Wayne was taking a picture with another guy that happened to be a former guest. His name is Nate Hutchinson. That was episode 72 that came out in October of 22, back when Wayne was just thinking about coming on the show. But to see 2 old friends like that, and you folks that come here regularly, you hear me talk about the law enforcement brotherhood and sisterhood. Even in retirement, it continues. And that's why I like what I'm doing through the podcast, through the speaking business, through most anything I do with the law enforcement or military, is because I get to live vicariously through what these heroes are still doing out there on a daily basis. And that's what we got here today with Nate Hutchinson. If you haven't listened to his story yet, you want to go back and listen to it. If you're looking for something motivational, for something inspirational, for somebody who says, no, don't ever give up, this is the man right here. Now, here's the funny thing. I knew he was going to be at this conference this week. So we're doing a leadership thing on Tuesday, and I was asked to be one of the facilitators, and I think they only invite me in because they felt sorry for me because I'm old. But I go to this table, and there's, 7 or 8 cops sitting there. And I don't even look at them to start with because I introduce myself and then I ask them to introduce themselves and I shake their hand. And the number 2 guy, the guy said, Nate, and I said, oh, nice to meet you. And I went on, I went, Nate Hutchinson? And he's like, yeah. And I stopped everything right there and I started fangirling. I'm telling you, this guy is a stud. This guy is an example of what dedication, about what sacrifice is all about how far a professional law enforcement officer or a military person will go for their team, with the sacrifices the chances they're willing to take. And so I can sit here and just mumble and chatter and sing your praises all day long. But Nate, welcome back to Game of Crimes.
Oh, thank you. I'm excited to be here.
And we had the opportunity to hang out last night for a while.
Yep.
Might have been some good food, and I don't know if there's any alcohol. I don't drink, but
yeah, allegedly there might have been.
Yeah, I don't have any recollection of that, Your Honor. But got to meet the folks that you're working with now.
Yep.
You were originally with, was it Weber County?
Weber County Sheriff's Office. Yep.
In Utah.
Yes.
And now you're with
Salt Lake County Sheriff's Office.
All right. And you're a lieutenant now.
Yes. Yep. I was a lieutenant at Weber as well, and then I retired and got back in.
They made you an offer you couldn't refuse?
They did, yes. Yeah. It's once you can't get out,
I know. If I didn't have this going on, I think, I don't know, I might just shrivel up and die.
Yeah. You got to have that thing that just kind of, it's in your blood.
Yep. The folks here on the show hear me say all the time, if you find a job you love, you'll never work a day in your life. Now, I love doing the podcast, but I got to tell you, I'm working my butt off on this thing.
I can imagine. I've seen what you've had to work with here this week, so yeah. I can only imagine your schedule.
Well, and a shout out to Wayne Well, thank you so much for touching base with me last week. Let me know Nate was going to be here. And I also want to give a shout out to Austin because we're using some equipment this week from a friend, Harry Aruda, I've never had the opportunity to use really professional equipment and studio quality equipment. And Austin is the technician that's running everything. He's promised to make me look slender and give me hair. So we'll see how good he does. Oh, he's giving me the look like, yeah, dream on, fat boy. But Austin, I just want to point you out, man. This is our last interview. Thank you very much for everything you've done.
Of course.
And I'm looking forward to seeing how you edit all these and give me a finished product. Now I really got to look that way.
He's like, wait, what?
I'll throw a rock at you, old man. So, in your new position now, are you doing the same thing or are you doing something different?
It's living in the same world, essentially. So when I was up in Weber County, I had a lot of different opportunities. My favorite, of course, work in narcotics, and that's where my incident occurred. But what I got in Salt Lake County is they brought me in. I lateraled over as a lieutenant, and they brought me in, and I am the director of the Salt Lake Metro Gang Project. And so what it is I run the gang unit, and then I also run a civilian side of intervention and prevention. So right back in the thick of it, doing what I love to do. Yeah.
Did you have to move?
No, I stayed in the same. I have a little bit of a commute, but I listen to your podcast. That's actually what I do is I listen to the podcast on the way to work and home. So,
and you don't fall asleep.
It's always interesting. You always have the best guests on. So,
I do. And I know the show's not about me. I know it's about the people I bring on, and you're absolutely one of them. So you just mentioned your incident. Can you just give us like the Reader's Digest version of that? And if this is painful, don't do it. But
no. I'm always happy to talk about it. I've been very blessed in the fact that talking about it actually is always really good for me. So I was part of a narcotics team. We were serving a knock and announce daytime warrant. The individual that we were serving had no criminal history, no red flags, anything like that. But it turned out he was very hardcore anti-government and was also wanted to do mass shootings, wanted to be involved in killing people. And so when we served this very low level search warrant, he knew we were coming. We had gone to his house to try to do it as a very minor low level, just knock on the door and talk to him. He was home. It turns out at that time he wouldn't answer the door. We tried that over the course of a week for 5 different times, and he knew we would eventually come back with the search warrant.
And this is a felony warrant?
Felony warrant, yep. And when we came back, he had his house set up for an ambush. So we entered it trying to do a very low-level search warrant, and he ambushed us. Ultimately, it was about a 13-minute gunfight. 6 police officers were shot. And then, of course, one of my brothers, I call him a brother, Jared Frankham, was murdered during the incident. So it was just a crazy incident that occurred. I always point out it was just a regular Wednesday until it wasn't. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, that's kind of what's happened to me.
So and you're being extremely humble. So and I got to call you out on it if you don't mind talking about it.
No, absolutely. We can talk about it, yep.
So I don't know if you'll call it heroic, but it damn sure is heroic. Tell us what you did. Your guys are under fire.
Yeah, we got ambushed. He got a guy right at the first. I was able to drag him out of the house, and then he got 2 more guys. And so I would drag a guy out. I'd go back in to get another one. Each time I'd go in, he'd shoot. He'd hit me. He missed me a lot too, fortunately. But so I'd go in. I got a guy the second time. He shot me twice. Went back in to get a third guy. He shot me 2 more times. I got him out, and then he was trying to follow us out of the house. So I kind of took a position in the stairwell to block the retreat for everyone that was now dragging those other wounded guys, because I'd get him out of the house, pass him off to another officer. And so I was kind of holding the position in the stairwell of the house, and he came in and he got me a 5th time. And so, yeah, he ended up getting me 5 times.
And what happened to him?
He ultimately surrendered. And then he was going through court. They were seeking the death penalty, and he tried to challenge the search warrant. It didn't end up going well for him. The judge was like, absolutely not. It's a very valid search warrant. Wouldn't let him use that. He had no defense. And so he ended up committing suicide in jail.
How?
He hung himself with a towel, I believe. Okay. So.
Justice.
Yeah. At the time, it's crazy. At the time, I was really angry about it. It was, we had basically had a gag order put on us. We couldn't talk about the case. I understood why, because it was an active case, and the prosecutors were fantastic prosecutors, and they were like, look, you guys as the unit, you can't talk about it, because if you do, you're just going to give him something to appeal. Mm-hmm. He's going to say that you tainted the jury pool or whatever. So you can't do it. So we could never respond. But the other side, the defense side, would constantly leaking things and constantly putting false information out to the public. And, you can't claim the same thing, that they're tainting the jury pool. And so I was really looking forward to the trial, because I wanted to be able to tell what happened that night, and I wanted to talk about it. I wanted to tell what Jared had done, and talk about how we had gone there and we had tried to low key this, because the media, they had taken their spin. They loved the controversy. Oh yeah. And so when he killed himself, I felt a little robbed. Like I wasn't going to be able to have my chance to talk. So that's why I love things like this, because I get to put the truth out there. I get to keep Jared's memory alive, and I get to put the truth out.
Excellent. So he committed suicide before even going to trial.
Yeah, he did. He committed suicide. He was trying different things as defenses, and each one of them would get whittled away. Mm-hmm. He would try to say, well, I never shot anyone. They all shot each other. And then they would do the ballistics, mm-hmm. and we were all carrying 40 cals. He was carrying a 9mm, and every bullet that was taken out of a police officer was a 9mm matched to his gun. So each time his defenses were whittled down, and then the final one was trying to claim that the search warrant was no good. And the judge basically spanked him on that and was like, absolutely not. This is a very valid search warrant, and you can't use that. And so he had nothing. He was guilty. He knew he was guilty. Yeah. And so
what an idiot.
He took the easier way.
He wanted to do the crime, but he didn't want to do the time.
Absolutely.
Were they going to go after the death penalty?
They were. They had filed capital murder charges against him. And so they were seeking the death penalty.
Wow. I have mixed feelings. I'm pro death penalty, but also I'm pro people being miserable in prison for committing heinous crimes.
Right.
But in this case, him shooting police officers and actually killing one, he would have been viewed as a hero in the prison.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, he'd been up on a pedestal. So.
Yep, absolutely. Initially, I was very angry about it. I came to realize I think that was a blessing in disguise. In Utah, we have the death penalty, but it's 30 years down the road after many, many appeals. Yeah. So this thing would have haunted us until, I would have been, I think I was 35 when the incident happened. I would have been well into probably my late 60s before it ever even had happened. And so I think it all worked out the way it was supposed to work out.
Yeah, absolutely. Things happen. I'm a firm believer everything happens for a reason.
Yeah. I'm
not a proponent of luck or coincidence at all.
Yeah.
The 5 rounds, can you tell us where you were hit?
Yeah, so 2 through the front hip area. 1 was a through and through. 1 lodged into my spine. Those were the first 2. The third one was through my left bicep, and just kind of just a right through. Didn't hit a bone or anything. 4th one in the ribs, and this is one where I can never explain, because I went to put my vest on that day and it ripped. And so I couldn't strap it. And I thought, well, this is just a simple little marijuana grow. So I didn't wear it. I didn't think I needed it for this little operation, as crazy as that is. And it hit me in the rib. And I can't tell you why it didn't go into my chest cavity and kill me, but it literally ricocheted around the side and went out the back, took off a big chunk. I always joke that it was a big ribeye steak that it shot off. But so there, and then the fifth one was through my right arm, and I actually thought he blew my arm off when that one hit, because it hit the bone and blew out the back, and the force of it flipped it up on my shoulders, and I didn't know I had it until I got to the hospital, and it flopped over when I got out of the car, and I was like, wow, I still have my arm.
I remember you talking about that. I'd forgotten about that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Now, and I'm sure our listeners, or some of them anyway, are like, what the hell are you two laughing about? It's for us, it's a defense mechanism.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. If you can't find humor in even the craziest of incidences, so, and that's what it was. Like, I remember that one really rung my bell, and I remember looking over, and I literally said, like, oh, this son of a bitch chopped my arm right off. And I actually looked at the ground. I remember thinking, well, I'm going to need it, so I probably better find it. And, you had that thought for a split second. And then I'm like, wait a minute, this is still a shootout. I got to get behind some cover. So, yeah. Jeez,
I think I'll start calling you Ribeye.
I know, exactly. Yeah.
That's our new nickname from there, brother. Oh, man. And obviously no permanent damage because you came back to work?
Yeah, I came back to work. I mean, my dream of retiring in law enforcement and then starting a second career as a major league pitcher probably took a hit, but
because you got hit both arms, right?
Yeah, he hit both, and I can't. I think it took. I probably went from like a 60-mile-an-hour fastball to probably a 25-mile-an-hour fastball right now. So,
well, how's your knee? Maybe you could be catcher.
Yeah, I might be able to be catcher. Yeah.
Oh man, I know people think we're sick, and I guess we are.
Yeah.
There are regular listeners, and you being one of them. You hear me talk about it all the time. I think God gives us gifts.
Yep.
And I think our gift is service to others. And man, you had every reason in the world to say enough is enough, but you didn't.
Yeah, I love it. I can't imagine myself doing anything else.
Yeah, that was the way I was. It just never wanted to retire.
Yep.
I was fortunate in what came along with narcos and then what that developed into, so that now I still get to hang out with cops.
Yeah.
My wife, come to San Diego. This is a nice place to come and visit. And I try to get her to come with me every year. I think this is my 7th or 8th year coming out here.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, it's every time you get together with your cop buddies, all y'all talk about is cop this, cop that. Blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, when you get together with your nurse buddies, that's all you guys talk about.
Right? Exactly.
And she's probably going to edit this, so I may be sleeping on the couch when she hears all this. How much longer do you think you go in law enforcement?
Well, so I'm 48. I don't know. I don't see it ending anytime soon. Mm-hmm. I'd like to do another 10, 12 years. I mean, I still love it. I still every day, like, can't believe that I wake up and this is what I get to do. Like, it's still one of those like moments where, I've been in it 24, 25 years now, and I still get excited. I still am like, hey, the guys will say, hey, we're going to go do this. And I'm like, all right, let's go do it. I still love it. So I guess the day when I don't anymore, or when I'm too old and too much of a liability, I guess.
We used to kid around 3 bad days in a row. Once you're eligible, we had in DEA, we called the KMA club, the Kiss My Ass Club.
Yep.
So after you become KMA, then it's 3 bad days in a row and I'm out of here.
Exactly. Yeah.
Or you get a call from Netflix.
Yep.
Yeah. Who would have ever thought that was going to happen, right?
Well, I mean, your life's a crazy, amazing story. So I think, it's crazy. I can't imagine getting how that must have felt for you, just being like, hey, it was just work. But for the rest of us, that's a heck of a story.
When your peers, I was talking to somebody out here earlier today after lunch, when your peers say things like that, it's kind of embarrassing. It's very humbling, but you appreciate it. And I always say, if your peers, like I saw how your guys reacted to you yesterday, and then last night hanging out with you guys for a while.
Yeah.
If your peers are that proud of you and what you've done, Well, I guess there is something there.
Yeah.
But at the same token, I don't know, it just not being overly humble. It was just that, that was my job and that was your job, and your job was every bit as dangerous as what we did in Columbia. So there's no, and that's what I think too about cops is we don't try to outdo each other.
Yeah.
Now I'm sure there are some that do.
Sure. Yeah.
Because we got more than our share of crazies.
Yep.
But I do appreciate y'all saying that. I appreciate you guys letting me hang out with you last night. I mean, your captain was there with you.
Yeah, he was. Yep.
What a great guy.
Yeah, he is. He's
some of those
fantastic
guys in your crew just make you laugh.
Yeah. Oh, I have a cast of characters. Like they are fun to work with. They definitely, I work for a fantastic boss and fantastic coworkers. Like that's what I mean. Every day I look forward to it. Like sometimes the weekends are too long. I'm like, man, I'm ready to go back to work.
It's like being a rookie all over again.
Exactly, it is. Yeah, yep.
So if you do leave law enforcement, what do you envision for Nate Hutchinson?
I don't know. I got into real estate a few years ago and I started a real estate company and I really, really enjoy that as well. It's fun. I love helping people find their homes and kind of seeing that. So I still do that on the side. And so, I could see maybe staying in that field doing real estate. And I teach. I travel around. I'm very fortunate. I get to travel around the country, speak at various conferences. Last week when I saw Wayne, I was at the Arkansas State Narcotics Conference and I got to speak there. So I love that. I love paying the messages forward that kind of helped me in that night and keeping Jared's memory alive. Yeah. So I'll probably work up until that point and then maybe just retire and do a little real estate and travel around and try to stay in it, that way.
That's, people talk about retiring and especially after you've been retired a while, guys that are getting close will call you and they know the story. But advice that Javier and I always give people is have something to do. Don't just go out with nothing to do.
Right.
I did. I retired. We thought we were going to be traveling to Columbia and, working on the movie or the TV series and everything, but it wasn't. We would fly to Hollywood 1 week a year, work with the writers, and everything else was emails and telephone calls.
Oh, really?
So my wife's still working full-time as a nurse. First time in my entire life, only time in my entire life that I ever had my honey-do list completely done. And probably never happen again.
Yeah. You're sitting there like, now what do I do?
Yeah, and that's exactly right. And then I get bored. So you start picking up contract jobs. But she says now, if you ask my wife, when's your husband going to retire? She'll say when he dies.
Yeah.
She and I had a conversation this past weekend, how long are you going to go with the podcast? How long are you going to do this? How long are you going to do that? And I'm like, well, as long as people are interested, I still got a list of guests that's probably 80 names long. It's to the point now where you guys will call me and say, hey, I got a good idea for you. And you do.
Yeah.
And this way I get to meet cops all around the world. I just interviewed the guy that's out this week was a homicide investigator down in Australia.
Oh, wow.
I think 32, 34 years on the job. So great stories. The speaking business, as long as people want to hear, I can't believe they still want to hear the story about Pablo Escobar. But if they do, I just think I didn't challenge God. I offered to God that, you open a door, Lord, and I'll step through it.
Yes.
And let's see where it goes.
Yeah.
And when that's not when I'm, I haven't got the message right and that's not what you want me to do, back me out. Just show me what you want me to do.
Yep.
And the offers just keep coming in. So
that's kind of how I've been. I've tried to just put me on a path and let me go. Or I've always wondered, like, I made it out that night. Jared didn't, I got shot all these times and got shot in spots where it probably should have killed me. I didn't. And I've always thought, why did I, why? Like, why? And everyone always tells me, they're like, well, he has a plan for you and God has a plan. And so I fully believe that. I'm
with you, brother. I'm with you. And I don't think I asked you on this first show, but if you don't mind me asking, were you obviously you were traumatized. We got shot 5 times, but did you suffer what we would call PTSD now?
I've been very, very fortunate, and I haven't had a lot of that. And I think a lot of it is, one is I'm just maybe very lucky. Two, I think talking about it a lot, especially like it's very therapeutic to go and talk about it to a group of cops like down here in San Diego that get it. Mm-hmm. And so it to me, that's my form of therapy. And I've been very fortunate. Some of my guys that were with me that night haven't been as fortunate. And I really feel for them. Because it's very real. It is.
It's, I'm not making this about me, but I was through a lot of shootings in my career and I never suffered any.
Yeah.
Except when my partner got shot in 1989. He survived. The informant was killed. But that one I was shell shocked for a couple of weeks. And that's when my wife would, at home, she'd slam a door, scare the crap out of it. I'm hitting the floor.
Yeah.
The loud noises would startle you. But, she's much smarter than I ever dreamt of being. What she was doing is showing me, hey, it's okay. You're home.
Yeah.
You're safe in here. It's just a cabinet door.
Yeah. No, I totally understand where you're coming from, because I actually, the very first time I was in the movie theater and I was watching the movie End of Watch.
Oh, yeah. We were just talking about that with Jamie McBride.
Yeah. Great show. There's a point at the end when they're running through an apartment complex.
Yep.
And the bad guys are up top and start shooting down at them. And the way they did that, there is a zing where they do the bullet. Because when I got into the house and he was just firing blindly, I stopped hearing the gunshots, and I was only hearing the as the bullets that were coming past.
Really?
So in that movie, all of a sudden you just hear this, and that's exactly what it sounded like. And I was like, whoa, like, did someone just shoot? And then it's like, oh, it's the movie. Like, yes, there is moments like that totally do come back and remind you of it.
Did you break out in a sweat?
Yeah, I did.
I bet.
Yeah, I did. It totally put me back in the kitchen that night, back in that house. So,
were you carrying?
I was, but I remember I reached over. I was with my kid's mom. We were married at the time, and I remember squeezing her hand, and she turned and she's like, "Whoa, are you okay? Are you okay?" And I was like, "I just had a little moment here."
Wow.
So, yeah.
Whew. Completely understandable.
Yeah.
Oh man, you start telling these stories, and I can just see in my mind sitting in the theater what you're going through there.
Yeah.
I'm a very visual person, but sometimes it's a little strange.
Yeah. Yep.
But, well, brother, we're so glad you're here with us today. It's been a true honor to meet you in person, to
Likewise.
catch up with you again, and for you to share me with your fellow teammates there.
Yeah.
That's a big deal. It's a really big deal in our culture. So thank you again for telling your story. Thanks for coming back on here. Praying for God's safety with you and all your troops out there, as well as all law enforcement and military here in the United States and around the world for that matter. So any last parting words of wisdom you want to give us, maybe for people thinking about being a cop or whatever?
I always will say this. I tell everyone, whatever tragedy you go through, however bad it is, you can get through it. As painful as getting shot is, the pain reminds you you're alive, and as long as you're here, as long as you have a breath in you, you still got a fight in you. So
that translates into never give up.
That exactly, never give up.
I love it. I love it. All right. Well, Nate, thank you, brother.
Thank you, and thank you. It was great to hang out with you last night. My team really enjoyed hanging out with you, so thank you for that opportunity.
Yeah, and I think we got a function tonight too.
Yeah,
so
we do.
We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, we'll see.
This is when I'm thankful I gave up drinking a long time ago.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, because I've learned to you got to still get up and get to class in the morning. Yes. So I paid that lesson a long time ago myself. So I've learned as well. So.
Yeah. So everybody, thank you again for joining us here. This is the last catch-up interview I'm going to do for this year's conference in Southern California. You've met these studs before and studettes. Now you get to catch up on what they're doing. I'm sure I hear stories and I wonder whatever happened to that person. So that's the reason I do this. Couldn't do it without your support. So I will continue to thank you and sing your praises. If you haven't checked us out on YouTube yet, please go over to YouTube, type in Game of Crimes Podcast in that search bar at the top, click on the subscribe button. download some episodes, listen to them there. You get to see these heroes, not just listen to them. Hit the like button and send me your comments. I love your comments, and I don't really like the bad ones, but I'll read them anyway. I know you're not supposed to, but I can't help myself. So thank you again, and I love you for continuing to come in to play the biggest, the baddest, the most dangerous game of all, and that's the game of crimes. God bless. See you on the next week's episode.